time. I like bags, I like stacks, I like money on time.
I like bags, I like stacks, I like money on time. I like bags, I like stacks, I like money on time.
I like bags, I like stacks, I like money on time. I like bags, I like stacks, I like money on time.
I like bags, I like stacks, I like money on time. I like bags, I like stacks, I like money on time.
Don't talk back, let's you wanna talk dirty. Don't talk back, let's you wanna talk dirty. Don't talk back, let's you wanna talk dirty.
YouTube family, what's good with you? It's your boy 2A in LA, and as always, fam, anything I say in this episode, prior episodes, and future episodes is just my personal opinion. Don't take it as fact. Don't take it as law. Always do your own homework and come up with your own conclusions. Right about now, fam, I should go ahead and tap that like button for your boy. If you're new to the channel, I want to say welcome. Come on in. You can join the congregation by smashing that subscribe button and requesting all post notifications. And if you are an existing supporter of this channel, bam! I appreciate you more than you can possibly imagine. You are the reason this channel is anything. Yo, fam, so check it. Do me a favor. Down below, you will see the link to the 2A in LA official merchandise website. If you want some 2A in LA gear, that is the place to go. And also, fam, if you look down below as well, hit that join button for a minor fee, fam. You get access to all things 2A in LA. Pre-release video, you get access to all of the major giveaways that we do every year. Fam, don't miss out. All right, back to the video. All right, fam, let's get this episode rolling. So look, fam, we got a good one. We got a good one today. I am bringing you a budget option. People have been talking to me about reviewing this gun for quite some time. So when my guys at Not Just Guns reached out to me and said, hey, we'd like to send this one out to you for a review, I said, bet. I said, bet. A lot of my subscribers and supporters have been asking about this gun. So yeah, let's get into it. And we are talking, of course, about that Mag 9 DS Comp model. Look, fam, a lot of people have been asking about this model because of the price point, because they felt like you're getting a pretty feature-rich gun at a very affordable price. Now, the way you see it outfitted here in that Nighthawk, Sandhawk kind of look, you know, you got your Mac Hawk, right? This is a Not Just Guns exclusive, and so probably by the time this airs, this was a limited run, in all likelihood, this rendition of the gun will be sold out. But for the most part, this is just kind of aesthetics, right? What we're really trying to drive at is what the underlying Mac 9 offering is. So I'm going to give you, when we do the review, I'll give you 2 scores. The not just guns version, as well as what the standard review without the aesthetic upgrades that you get from the Mac 9. Now look, the Mac 9 not just guns version. So look, I don't know, fam. I don't know. Could this be, look, I've been looking for one of these budget firearms to break into rail gun status, right? I'm looking for something $1,500 or less that, you know, could crack 90. Could this be one? Could this be the one? Look, there's some people out here that swear by their Mac 9s, right? There are people out here that swear, oh my goodness, 2A in LA, my Mac 9 shoots just as good as any Atlas. Okay, well, let's see. Let's see. Let's get into the review. But before we do, let's take this over to the Tactical Formulary desktop and take a closer look at it. All right, fam. Welcome to the Tactical Formulary work desk. Let's take a look at this beauty right here. The Mac 9 Mac Hawk. It has a very nice sand hawk look. Now, this is not the traditional Mac 9 pistol. This was a kind of one-off release from Not Just Guns. It was a limited run. Probably by the time this airs, it will likely be sold out. That said, there's nothing to prevent you from creating this exact same aesthetic with the out-of-the-box Mac 9. So I still think it's an excellent example to take a look at. Look, first off, the gun is free and clear. Let's get into this with a little bit more detail. So look, the gun is chambered in 9mm, 17+1, ships with 2 magazines, a single action hammer fire gun. This gun features a bull barrel that has a chunk port and 11-degree target crown on it. The gun comes optic ready with the agency arms AOS system, fixed black serrated front and rear sights on the gun so that allow you to co-witness ambi thumb safety and grip safety. Now look, you guys know I hate grip safeties on guns. In my opinion, it's a dead giveaway that it is a lower quality 2011. You don't see grip safeties on Atlas guns. You don't see them on guns that are $4,000 or more. And that's because it requires a lot more machining to get rid of that grip safety and have it look good, and they're trying to save on cost. So okay, fine with me. The gun weighs 30 to 32.7 ounces unloaded, 5.8 inch height, 1.5 inch width, forged steel frame, steel slide. It comes with a lockable hard case as well as a cleaning kit and owner's manual. Look, fam, I think it's a very attractive looking gun. If you are lucky enough to get one of these guns from Not Just Guns, then I think you came up. And I think if you're trying to give your out-of-the-box standard Mac 9 a distinctive look, this is definitely a look to consider. But look, enough of that. Let's get back to the review. All right, fam, we are back. Look, let's get into the review. Now, if you've never seen a 2A in LA review, kind of goes like this. 0, hot garbage. 100, best gun in the history of the world. Only had 2 guns in the history of the channel ever to get 100. Never had a gun get a 0. If you get something 50 to 60, that's a right down the middle gun. Gonna go bang every time, gonna be reliable, just doesn't have a lot of feels or thrills to it. If you get something kind of 60 to 70, okay, that gun has a feature or two that make it stand out from the rest. If you get something 70 to 80, okay, that gun is feature rich and has several distinctive characteristics that elevate it, right? If you get something 80 to 89, now we're talking really kind of best in class territory. Specifically, if you're kind of 85 to 89 and 90 or above, grail gun status. All right, look. Let's start off with the fit and the finish of the gun. I went over kind of the specs of the gun in the tactical formulary review, so we won't revisit that here. I'll just tell you that the fitment of the gun is not bad. There's a little bit, ever so slight wiggle, kind of slide to frame, ever so slight wiggle, grip to frame. Grip to frame is pretty well done. The gun racks pretty smooth, no hang-ups on the disconnector or anything like that. That's well done. Obviously, this one is Cerakoted. The traditional Mac 9 comes with a Tenifer finish. From my understanding, this gun doesn't have any mem parts except for maybe like the recoil spring plug. I think might be the only mem part here. Other than that, everything else is machined, which is good. The gun does have the grip safety, which I talked about in the tabletop review, which, you know, to me is almost a dead giveaway of a lower quality 2011 guns. You don't see Atlas guns with grip safeties. You don't see typically guns that are 4,000 plus with grip safeties. It's usually like a lot of the Turkish imports and the kind of lower end guns that you see with grip safeties, and that includes Staccato and Bull Armory and other guns. And so I'd like to see at lower price points them start to delete these grip safeties. Obviously though, that's going to require more time and more machining to do that, but such is the case. That said, I think overall the fit and finish of the gun is solid. We're going to give it a 12 out of a possible 15 for fit and finish. Next up, reliability. Look, the gun shot reliably. I think I put over 1,000 rounds through this gun, and I want to say out of those 1,000 rounds, maybe there was about 3 or 4 issues. To me, not a big deal. Some of those things could have been the gun. Some of it could have been break-in period. Some of it could have been ammo related. It wasn't flawless, but it was solid. Reliability, we're going to give it a 13 out of a possible 15. Next up, durability. Look, fam, steel frame, steel slide, polymer grip module. Obviously this is not DLC coated, it's Cerakoted. As I mentioned earlier, Tenifer is the coating on the traditional Mac 9. Not the best coating, but certainly not the worst either. I think it's pretty durable. I think probably, you know, this grip module is probably going to wear down over time. This coating and finish is probably going to wear down over time with, you know, a lot of rounds through it. That's not a big concern for you. It's not a big deal to me. For durability, we're going to give it a 12 out of a possible 15. All right, fam. Next up, trigger. Look. I'll go ahead and I'll put the trigger weight up there so you can see it, but it's got ever so slight take up, a clear defined wall, crisp clean break, the reset. Solid. Not a bad trigger at all. Is it awesome? Is it great? No, but it's solid. It's a solid trigger. And so for trigger, we're going to give it a 12 out of a possible 15. Next up, accuracy. Look, I found the gun to be Relatively accurate. We shot it at 7, 15, and 25 yards. Groupings were all within reasonable range. The combination of the trigger and the comp helped to keep the gun down. And when I talk about accuracy, fam, I say this all the time. I'm not just talking about barrel accuracy. You know, like if you sit it in a rest and you shot 5 rounds or 10 rounds, how close would the groupings be? That's one way to establish accuracy, but that's not how we shoot, right? If you're in a situation where either you're in competition or you're shooting from self-defense, you need to know at higher rates of speed and under stress, how easy is it to maintain accuracy on the gun? In other words, what's the shootability of the gun? And I felt like the gun performed well in that area. So for accuracy / shootability, we're going to give it an 8 out of a possible 10. All right, fam. Next up, ergonomics. This is where I feel like the gun lacks a little bit because I don't think the texture on the grip, number one, it's a polymer grip. It's not a metal grip. And I don't think the grip itself is particularly well done. I think the texturing on the grip is a little bit non-existent. There's a little something there. There's a little something, but not a lot. I feel like it could get better. That said, I do think the gun is pretty well balanced from that perspective. I think it's solid. Despite the lack of grip texture, I think the gun is pretty easy to maintain. Now, keep in mind, I'm out here in Southern California shooting outdoors, yes, but in relatively mild weather conditions. How this thing would hold up in terms of grip in the South, where there's a ton of heat with humidity, could be a different story. How it would hold up in extreme cold temperatures, I can't really speak to that as well. But overall, I felt like ergonomics were solid, but not great. We're going to give it a 7 out of 10 for ergonomics. All right, fam, these next two categories, we're going to kind of lump them together, right? Aftermarket support, maintenance and upkeep. Look, maintenance and upkeep, break it down every 1,000 rounds or so. Do a light clean after every range session, and you should be good to go. Aftermarket support, there's a ton of it out there these days for 2011s as these guns dominate the marketplace. So we're going to give 4 out of a possible 5 in both of those categories. All right, fam. Next up, affordability. Look, this is where the gun shines. This is where the gun shines. You are getting a gun that is comped, a gun that has a good aesthetic, a gun that is pretty well built at a price that is within reach for most people, I would say. And I'll go ahead and I'll put up the MSRP up there. But affordability, I think, yeah, it's solid. We're going to give it a 4 out of a possible 5 for affordability. Next up, flex. Is Instagram gonna go crazy or your boy's gonna be like, damn? Look, if you rolling with the Not Just Guns Mac Hawk, if you rolling with the Mac Hawk, you probably get a little more kudos for aesthetics. So for flex, for this version, you get a 3 out of a possible 5. For flex, for the traditional version, 2 out of 5. All right, fam, when you add all of that up, you get a 78 out of a possible 100. Look, fam, as I said, if you've got something that's kind of 70 to 79, 70 to 80, you're talking about a gun that's a couple deviations above the norm. The gun is feature rich, right? May not be a best-in-class gun that you get to when you start getting up into the 80s. But yeah, if you've got something that's close to 80 at this price point, man, I think you're doing well. I think you're doing well. Now, again, is this gun going to be as durable or as accurate? Is the fit and finish going to be as good as some of these higher-end 2011s? No. But again, I would say most people are not putting the kinds of rounds through these guns where that step up is going to make a huge difference. And so, yeah, if you're looking to dip your toes into the 2011 market, you want a gun that's got some nice features, you want a gun that looks good, you want a gun that is not going to break the bank, then yeah, I would take a look at the Mac 9. All right, fam, that's it for this episode. Until next time, as always, take care of one another and peace.